Your presence has been detected.
Welcome to the second episode of The Vault. I'm Brian Anderson, your host, and today's topic is going to be traumatic brain injury, blast injury, and hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So everybody's probably heard about what a traumatic brain injury is, a TBI, or a blast injury. It's really become the staple of Operations Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. But it's actually gone back a lot further than that. We've heard about shell shock and different things. And the reason why it's gone back further than that is because traumatic brain injury, the way it's actually caused is not the way most people think. A lot of people think it's a concussion or concussive forces hitting the head, jarring of the brain, but that's not actually true. There's actually a lot of research. This right here is the Gulf War and Health Volume 9, Long-Term Effects of Blast Exposures, and it kind of talks about how they've done research to figure out how a blast injury occurs. And what they've done is they've taken lab animals, I imagine like a little pig wearing a helmet and body armor, kind of like this one right here, and they've done blasts at different proximities to figure out what actually causes a TBI or traumatic brain injury. And what they've actually discovered, it was the overpressure that caused this issue. The overpressure is what causes our men and women who are coming home to have these blast injuries. What happens with it though is a lot of times these men and women get misdiagnosed, because the similarities between post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury are so close. Someone might get diagnosed with a TBI and they really have PTSD, or they might get diagnosed with PTSD and they really have TBI, or they just get dual diagnosed, which is the case for a lot of our warriors coming back because both of them a lot of times are co-current. How do you actually help out with a traumatic brain injury? Well, one way of doing it is medicine. We've done that through the VA. Another way that is actually an alternative therapy, which has seen a lot of proven results, is using hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So I'd like to introduce you actually to first Stacey Spiegel and then Dr. Allan Spiegel. They came up with Healing Heroes Network. First I'm going to ask Stacey to tell a little bit about what Healing Heroes Network is, and then I'm going to ask Dr. Allan Spiegel to talk a little bit about what hyperbaric oxygen therapy is and how it actually works to help warriors overcome some of those difficulties related to traumatic brain injury. Stacey?
Healing Heroes is a nonprofit organization. We provide financial assistance to our service members that are coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan on or after 9/11. We provide them with assistance in getting treatments that are not being provided by the VA. Some of them are holistic, some of them are not.
So you just heard all about Healing Heroes Network. Let's talk to Dr. Allan Spiegel and find out exactly what the hyperbaric oxygen therapy is and how it actually helps warriors.
Hyperbaric therapy is an FDA-approved modality which is used 15,000 times per day across the United States in many of the hospitals. It is a modality in which a patient is lying on a stretcher, enclosed in glass, breathing 100% oxygen under pressure. You and I are currently breathing room air, which is 21% oxygen. In this case, we are administering 100% oxygen. Then we increase the pressure very, very slowly up to a pressure that we find works best for treating brain injuries in this particular case. When one breathes 100% oxygen under pressure, we are increasing the amount of oxygen that saturates every part of the body to anywhere from 10 to 15 times more than is currently present. That turns oxygen into a drug. Oxygen as a drug does several things. Number one, it causes new blood vessels to grow into any part of the body that's not getting adequate blood perfusion. It improves the immune system. It reduces swelling and inflammation. It helps to lay down the framework for healing. Our white blood cells are super saturated. Oxygen makes it work at a much better rate.
Us as warriors, we're always saying, hey, it's the next guy who needs this. I can tell you that's wrong. It's you who needs it. It's every single one of us who's come back and has actually gone through some of these difficulties. If you have like this fog that kind of comes down, you have trouble connecting sometimes the dots, doesn't mean you can't be a productive civilian, doesn't mean you can't be productive at the work you're doing. I came home from my deployments and I went to school and got a bachelor's degree, went to Stanford for a nice, great program, started a 501c3. I did a lot of work, but I was still having a lot of difficulties. I went through 40 sessions of hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and it was like this cloud just completely lifted. Absolutely amazing. So how can you do this? Well, Healing Heroes Network is one great organization. And there's other ways that you can do it. We have VA approval for veterans and HBOT treatments using the CHOICE program. Below this video, you'll actually see the steps that you can take to actually get the VA to fund hyperbaric oxygen therapy for you. Two great ways to do it. I wanted to bring this therapy out to you. I wanted you to see what hyperbaric oxygen therapy is and see what it offers you. I can tell you that you won't be let down by trying it out. And it's not going for one session. It's going for a full treatment. It's going for 30 to 40 sessions. That really makes a huge difference in our men and women's lives in transition. It's one of those pieces of the onion when we peel back that layer of coming home from war. I wanted to bring up one more topic, Veterans Florida. I talked about them last week. Veterans Florida, for all of you folks who are in the state of Florida, awesome program, pays up to $8,000 for you to go and get trained at an employer. If you're building a resume, you know what? Your employer should know about Veterans Florida because that pays for you to get trained at that place. That's a great incentive. Always remember Veterans Florida. If you're a business, think about Veterans Florida and try and connect with them so you can hire some good veterans to do a great job. Remember February 27th, we've got the MMA fight coming up at All Sports Arena. We look forward to seeing you guys there. If you're a business, you'd like to throw in a sponsorship, by all means, contact us. Our number, 727-939-8387. Reach out to us. We'll make sure that sponsorship gets put in there, that all those proceeds for sponsorships goes to the Veterans Alternative. Last but not least, I just wanted to say for all of our warriors who are local, you know where the Veterans Alternative is. Come out and see us. We have tons of great services for you every single Friday night. We do a great big barbecue. We start out with integrative restoration or I-rest yoga. 20 minutes equals 2 hours of REM. That's amazing. Come out for that. That starts at 5:30 every single Friday. Afterwards, we do a nice little barbecue, sit around the fire pit, talk trash, do what veterans do. If you're outside of the area and you'd like to come down for a retreat, we do a retreat once a month. You can call us up, 727-939-8387. We look forward to seeing you. And until next Friday, thank you for stopping by the Vault. We'll see you next week.